to go ahead and get started. If I could ask everybody to stand, we're going to have an invocation. Let us pray. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for this day, and we want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. We want to thank you for those folks that are protecting our country and protecting our freedom. We ask that you be with them and help them in every way. We want to ask your special blessing on these young folks that are here today. We ask that you be with them in the days to come. We ask your special grace and your love and your care and your watchful eye on them as they pursue things in the future. We want to ask your special blessing on us that we would do what's best for this community. And thank you for allowing everybody to be here today. Amen. Amen. And if you would, we'll call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum. And Councilman McElroy will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. It is at this time in our meeting that we are always glad to welcome visitors and receive public comment. We want to thank everybody for being here today. We want to thank the Youth Advisory Council for being here, and we want to thank Irene for being here. Mr. Phelps, we're glad you're here. Mrs. Davis, it's really good to see you. And Matt, we're glad you're here. It's good to see Gil, and it's good to see Mr. Thornton. And it's always nice to have all the staff. So at this time, we'll open the meeting for public comment. If there's anybody that'd like to make public comment. Okay. If not, then we're going to go ahead and proceed with our agenda. The first thing we would like to do is to ask Irene Mason to recognize the Muleshoe Youth Advisory Council.
Okay, thank you, Council. This is an end of another year, and so I just want to recognize all of the participants. So when you hear your name, if you'll just stand, please. Our mayor this year was Kayla Preston. Our Mayor Pro-Tem was Adriana Loya. Council Member Jacob Kettner. Council Member Cassidy Cage. Council Member Larry Adams, who is out ill. City Manager Christian Mora. City Secretary Mackenzie Zimmerman. Public Works Director and Assistant City Manager Yvette Elizalde. And our Police Chief Blaine Shipman. So if you'll help me congratulate them. Also, the Youth Council also worked on continuing education units, so I'd like to recognize those students who have earned those hours. First of all, we'll start with the award of recognition for 35 CEUs or more. And Mackenzie Zimmerman, and I'll see that she gets that. And Christian Mora. Congratulations, sir. The next level is Award of Achievement, which is 45 or more CEUs. Larry Adams will receive that. And Jacob Kettner. And then our highest level is a certified YAC member who has 55 or more hours. And that will go to Cassidy Cage with 55. Adriana Loya with 71. And Kayla Preston with 77. Also, I want to recognize our seniors this year, and I wish you all the very, very best. I have no doubt that you will be extremely successful. It's Blaine Shipman. Thank you for your services. Christian Mora.
Yeah, stay there.
Thank you for your service. Lariat Adams. Adriana Loya. And Kayla Preston. And these are our seniors, so we wish them the very, very best.
Hang on just a minute. This should be Xander's job. Okay.
All right. Thank you so very much for supporting this youth council.
Also, on behalf of the council, I would like to pass on our thanks for your participation this year, and we really enjoyed y'all being there. We've learned a lot from you being there. And, we appreciate your service, and those of you that are not graduating, we look forward to working with you next year. And I want to thank you very much. So. The next thing we'd like to do on our agenda is to consider resolution number R706-0515, which canvassed the returns of the city general election for mayor held on May the 9th. And you have all considered that resolution. And I think in front of each of you, you have a total of those votes. And I'll open the floor for a motion to approve that resolution.
I make a motion we approve said resolution.
I'll second that.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor of approving or canvassing the returns on that particular election, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Next thing we would like to do is to consider resolution number R707-0515, which is to canvass the returns of the city special election for the unexpired term of District 2 council member held on May the 9th this year. I'll make a motion that we approve that resolution.
Second.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Next thing we would like to do is to have the oath administered to those two particular candidates. You want us both or one at a time?
Let's do yours first, Mayor.
Okay.
I'll let you stand up front.
Okay.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Cliff Black,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office of mayor
the duties of the office of mayor
of the city of Muleshoe,
of the city of Muleshoe,
and will to the best of my ability
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and the laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Matt, if you'll come forward, we'll get yours done. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Wesley Matthew Davis,
I, Wesley Matthew Davis,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the duties of the office of Council Member District Number 2
the duties of Council Member District Number 2
of the City of Muleshoe,
of the City of Muleshoe,
and will to the best of my ability
and will to the best of my ability
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
I would like to take a minute to, if Irene, if I could get you to come up here. take a minute and tell you just exactly how much the council and the taxpayers of the city of Muleshoe have appreciated your 8 years of service.
Thank you very much.
You have, it has been really a great experience to have you here. And we appreciate all the time that you spend and your dedication and all the things you did for the regional and the state offices and helping us to represent the citizens of the city of Muleshoe.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
The next thing we would like to do is to consider resolution number R708-0515, which canvasses the returns of the city special action for the sale of alcohol for off-premises consumption. I think you all have that list in front of you. The amount of votes that were cast, both for and against. And I'll open the floor for a motion to approve that resolution.
I'll make a motion that we approve that resolution.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve that resolution. Is there any discussion or questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Next thing we'd like to do is to consider resolution number R709-0515, which canvasses the returns of the city special election for the Home Rule Charter Amendment. I'll make a motion that we approve that resolution.
I'll second it.
And we have a second. Is there any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Next thing we would like to do is to approve the minutes of the April 13th meeting of this year. I trust you all reviewed those minutes, and I'll make a motion to approve them.
Second.
And we have a second. Is there any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries and those minutes are approved. Next thing we would like to do is to elect a Mayor Pro-Tem. And I'll open the floor for nominations.
I'd like to nominate Colt Ellis and Eric McElroy.
Oh, boy.
I'll nominate Cole.
Who nominated Parker? He ain't here.
I think I'm going to nominate both of them. That makes it okay. All right. Y'all want to vote by show of hands? You want to do this by secret ballot? What would y'all like to do?
It doesn't matter.
Or do I have a motion that nomination cease? I'll do that.
Cole's got 2 nominations, I only have 1.
Okay. I need a second for nominations to cease.
A second.
We have a second. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor of nominations ceasing, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Okay. Got any paper? Handy there? We'll do secret.
Mayor, I think because this is an open meeting, you probably can't do a secret ballot.
Really?
That was the lawyer being a stick in the mud.
Yeah.
I apologize, but,
Boo.
yeah.
You weren't paying attention over there, were you? Okay. All right. Okay. All those in favor of Colt Ellis, raise your right hand. Those in favor of Eric, raise your right hand. Okay, the vote is 3-2, so, all right.
3-1.
Can't vote
I
twice.
voted twice.
You can't.
You wouldn't let me do that on May the 9th. Okay, so Colt will be our Mayor Pro-Tem.
Congratulations, Cole.
Thank you, yes, my sympathy, yes. Okay. All right, thank you, guys. Consider ordinance number 0478-0515, regulating the alcohol sales. Now, this ordinance is included in the agenda packet. Actually, there's two ordinances in there.
Actually, Mayor, if I could clarify a little bit, the ordinance that's in the agenda packet was amended today after some discussion I had with TADC, particularly about some administrative fees that are in that ordinance that are not allowed by TADC. We can collect a fee equal to half of what the state collects for a permit, but we can't collect additional administrative fees. The reason there are two ordinances there's one issue I think the council may or may not want to discuss, but it's the issue of whether you want to prohibit drive-through and drive-up facilities for alcohol sales or not prohibited.
I don't know how many of y'all have reviewed the ordinance, but for those of you in the public, most of the things that happen in these ordinances are basically covered by state law or through the TABC, which actually limits a lot of things we can do and requires us to do a lot of things that...
Actually, these are the things that TABC statutes allow the cities to do.
Right. So those are the guidelines that we must follow.
So this is as far as we can push it.
Yes, those are the things that are allowed by TABC.
Even the one thing I had in question was not to exceed the sum of $500 for a penalty. I was wondering why limited to that if you have a repeat offender.
It's a Class C misdemeanor now. If it's enhanced, that's an attorney question.
Well, and I can't tell you that that's as far as we can go. Some laws provide that if there are multiple offenses at some point, you can raise those to Class B or A's, which are not municipal issues, those are county issues. And I would not be surprised, I haven't looked at that issue on this, but I would not be surprised if that didn't exist here, because when we have minors in consumption, any of the minor alcohol offenses, once you have two of those, the third one does bump up to the county. But as far as municipality, that is all we can do, is $500, absent some health and safety issues that primarily deal with fire department, things like that. So.
But that would be this violation enhancing another charge.
Right, and so your, any stricter penalties that are available, if any, are gonna come from your county and district, as opposed to your municipality.
How can we ensure that that will happen?
Well, y'all can't insure it. It'll just be like any other crime. It would be investigated, probably by TABC, although we see local law enforcement do that sometimes. And they probably actually work together, and those will be presented to your county attorney, who makes the decision whether to file what's called an information, it's kind of a misdemeanor indictment, or if there was some way that it rose to a felony, that would go through the grand jury system. So, probably what y'all can do is politically, I think kind of like you're doing now, is politically let it be known that that's something that's important to y'all. And usually when you have elected officials at the next levels that'll be looking at that, they'll appreciate that.
But as far as the ordinance, a Class C misdemeanor is all that can be addressed at the municipal level. And $500 is the maximum fine for a Class C misdemeanor.
Now, another question I think has been that we really couldn't vary the hours that they could be open like on Sunday.
No. The only thing we can address with hours is the city has the option to extend those hours. And I'm sorry I don't have, I think it's to midnight.
Yeah, they're
It's like 7 a.m. to midnight the weekdays, and from noon to midnight.
I know it doesn't start before noon on Sundays.
And we can extend those to like 2:15. And I'm not real sure that's for package sales. It may just be for mixed drinks or
On premises.
liquor by the drink, I know on premises.
And I'll just tell you, I wasn't prepared for that question either, but I know that's the case as it relates to on premises, because I've done that in other towns, or I've watched them try to do it.
But as far as saying the sale of alcohol in Muleshoe on Sundays is prohibited, we can't do that. That's a TABC.
We have to work those hours.
Yes,
If they said.
yes.
I was mentioning to David, and I think the mayor might have been there when I was saying, I really expected this legislative go-around, that all of this would be taken out of the local communities, there wouldn't be elections, everywhere would be wet, but everyone would be under the same rules and regulations statewide. That did not gain any traction in this legislative session, but I think we're heading that way.
Not just with alcohol sales, but a lot of.
Yeah, franchise fee, I mean, we could go down a page that just deal with cities, but a lot of that uniformity is coming, and that's good and bad, we'll deal with it as it comes. But we're gonna, that's what TML's chosen to fight this time, is to maintain as much local control as we can, because that's what they're chipping away at. But I think that's what you're gonna see, at least as it relates to alcohol, coming up. Be 2 years now.
Is there any way around increasing that permit?
Increase the fee for the permit. I talked to TABC today, I talked about the administration, and no, he was really clear, this is all you can charge for the permit.
They were pushing back on what we were trying.
And so what if we pass a higher amount? What can they do to us?
They can tell you that you can't collect it.
And then they keep the
You can't pass an ordinance that supersedes state statute and make it enforceable. And the first applicant that comes in and you hit them with a higher fee than that, they're gonna tell TABC.
Or one of these consultants, if you've ever been in the restaurant or hotel business, dealing with TABC can be difficult. That's the nice way of saying it, until you hire a consultant, which is usually somebody that worked there, and then, things move a little faster. But there's a whole cottage industry of lobbyists and people that deal with these, because they're big money to them.
Well, and these corporations have been through this many, many times. They know the rules better than we do.
So to apply for an alcohol permit in the state of Texas, between the city and the state, it'd be $180?
There's when you look on TABC's webpage, there's 2 pages of fees for different, but the fee for, I know for a convenience store, the fee that the convenience store would pay to the state is $120, which means we can collect $60.
It just blows my mind that it's so
I'm sorry?
small. It blows my mind that that amount's so small.
There's one fee in there for $7,000, and I'm not sure, I looked to see what it was, but I think it's probably for a brewer or a distributor or something like that. But no, those fees are set in stone at TABC. I mean, they were quick to tell me that, no, you can't add an administrative fee for signing their application. And their application the application that the establishment of the business will submit to the state has a section in there that the city secretary has to sign off on to certify that that business is located in an area that has been voted wet. And that it doesn't, that it meets all the requirements of any zoning or ordinances that we have, such as this ordinance prohibits an establishment from selling alcohol within 300 feet of a school or a church or a hospital unless they're granted a variance by the city. So if it falls in those parameters, then the city secretary would have to state that on the application.
So I guess really the only question we've got here is whether we do it with or without drive-through.
Any of this stuff, I think you could leave out. You just can't add to it. You can't do more than what they allow. Is that correct?
So how would I make a motion to do it with drive-throughs?
You've got 2 ordinances there.
We just vote on the 2 different ordinances.
Yeah, well, you just vote to approve ordinance number 0478, 0515, and instruct staff to to get the mayor to sign that your intention is to not prohibit drive-through.
I'll make a motion on what you just said.
Okay, you got it?
Not prohibited.
We are
Not
not,
A
To
drive-through.
allow drive-through.
Allow drive-through.
Okay. And they're kind of misnamed there, because I didn't realize it till much later, so I said it out loud. The without is without prohibiting.
Okay.
Which would mean to allow it,
Yeah.
Where you move to allow them?
to have drive-throughs. That's the motion that's on the floor.
To approve the ordinance with drive-up and drive-through.
I'll second that.
Okay. And we will have the correct ordinance for the mayor to sign off.
okay. We have a motion and second to approve ordinance number 0478-0515, which does not prohibit
Yes.
drive-up and drive-through alcoholic sales. Is there any other discussion? Not all those in favor, say aye. Those opposed, say no. No. So, motion carries. Okay. The next thing that we will do is the, consider granting the right-of-way easement to Southwestern Public Service and Xcel Energy across section 34, 38, and 39, block Y, WD&FW Johnson, Lady County, Texas. I'll let you go over that, David. That's a pretty good price for that easement.
Well, SPS has requested an easement across that property that you just described, that the city owns, that's our well field south of town. That transmission line that they want to install on that easement runs parallel to a transmission line that's already there. I've checked with Ramon to see if it interferes with any operations that we have down there, and it does not. Comes out to about nearly 12 acres as it goes across that property. They're $1,500 an acre plus $45.91 for some construction right of way as they build that fence. So the total right of way would Xcel would pay the city $22,559.50. One time. That's
One
not-
time.
It's not an annual payment, unfortunately.
Not an annual thing. All right.
And I'm sure you know, council knows that with the rate adjustments that we've seen from Xcel through the years, that ratepayers will see that on their bill. That'd be part of the construction cost, the capital improvement cost.
Okay. Is there any questions? I'll make a motion that we grant that right-of-way easement to SPS and Xcel Energy.
I'll second it.
We have a second. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Next thing we'd like to do is to consider terminating the Old Airport Farm Lease with Allen Harrison effectively on August the 31st, and authorizing the city manager to solicit bids for lease of that property. Now, in the past, we've had 3 different leases, right?
Yes.
So this year, this time we're consolidating 2 of those leases to be the Southtown and the other to be the Old Airport.
The city has had part of the property, the North Oilfield property, or no, it's Sanderosa,
Sanderosa.
and the Old Airport lease since 1993. In 99 or 2000, or 2001, the city bought some more property adjacent to the Santa Rosa. We're calling it the North Wellfield, and then that property was leased. So yes, we had 3 leases. Should the council consider terminating those leases and rebidding both of those, I would suggest that we do 1 lease at the Old Airport and 1 lease in the Wellfield.
So kind of simplify things.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we get a copy of those existing leases to?
Yes, you can. I can get them for you before you leave here tonight.
Okay.
If you want to look.
I had a couple of considerations for the new lease. I'd like to put a term on it, whether, I think it doesn't need to be too short so that the lessor could move in their equipment and out or their livestock. But I think that it needs to have a term so that it will follow land values as well as give everybody a fair shot at it.
And I think that probably is a good plan. The old leases that are in place are a year-to-year lease, automatically renewed unless either party gives a 90-day notice. But they continue until either party, and I don't disagree at all with what Matt's saying. Look at a 5 or an 8 year period that says these will be a year-to-year lease. They'll automatically renew every year unless there's proper notice given. But at the end of that term, whatever we set that term as, then they'll be rebid.
Is there a time limit that you're thinking there might be?
I would like to see it go no shorter than 5 years.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be shorter than that. I think that would hurt our bids probably if we made it any shorter than that. You know, the leases, and we don't have, I haven't drafted any leases for that, and we certainly would look for input from the council. Hopefully by the June council meeting, we'll have some kind of lease drafted, and the council will have a chance to look at that and make any recommendations or suggestions or changes to those leases. What the items on the agenda mostly does tonight is to go ahead and get that termination notice in place with the 90-day period. And I talked to Alan about when is a good time for those leases to expire. If we're out here at the Old Airport to catch it between crops, August the 31st is a good termination date for that. August the 15th is the termination date that's in the lease. I think it's just better to put it at the end of the month.
Okay.
December the 20th is the termination date for the leases down south, both of those. I'd suggest just making it the 31st for the end of the month.
Okay. So we could vote to terminate the lease at the Old Airport and suggest that you put in a 5-year.
Yeah, I'd say I'll get some leases drafted and get them out to y'all. You can look at them.
Okay. Be good.
And I think that's a good plan. There's some other questions when we look at leasing the stuff south of town about, are we gonna allow hunting down there, or prohibit hunting?
Well, I don't know, it's my opinion that if you allow hunting down there, then you've got to go through the whole hunting lease thing, or it's open to all the taxpayers of the city of Muleshoe.
Well, but if we lease it to somebody, we're gonna allow let that leasee to hunt that.
I think with stringent regulations on the lessor, it could be something to consider, because
You know,
where it borders town, it could be unsafe areas.
I have a concern about hunting with high-powered rifles down there.
I don't think rifle hunting should be that close to town on city property, personally.
Yeah, I have some concerns with
And
that.
I'm a hunting advocate, I just,
Bird hunting would be less of an issue. So those are some things we
I
can
think you
consider
could put some of that in the new
as we
lease.
prepare the lease.
I think it would add value to it.
At the Old Airport, I don't think we ought to allow any hunting out there at all, with that located. It's just right next to the golf course.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll make a motion that we terminate the Old Airport Farm Lease.
I'll second that.
And authorize the solicit for bids.
Yes.
And we won't do that
And
until we get,
authorize city manager to solicit bids.
we won't do that until we get
The
the
new
lease
lease.
is drafted.
Okay. All right. So we have a motion and a second. Is there any questions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Next thing is to consider terminating the Sanderosa North Wellfield Farm Lease with Allen Harrison effective December 31st, and authorizing the city manager to consolidate these properties and solicit bids for the consolidated property.
I'll make a motion that we terminate the lease and let David solicit the bids.
And I'll second. So we have a motion and a second to terminate the Sanderosa North Wellfield Farm leases and authorize city manager to consolidate those properties into one lease and solicit bids. Is there any discussion? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Next thing we'd like to do is to receive the April 2015 financial statement. I trust that you have all reviewed that line by line, and I'll make a motion that we approve that financial statement.
I'll second it.
Do we have a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Next thing we'd like to do is have the administrative reports.
Thanks, Mayor. The Lubbock Area Foundation conducted a meeting out here one day last week to kind of present the results of the survey that they did at Muleshoe. And I have copies of those surveys. Did I lay one up there or not? I was getting copies. We do have copies available here at City Hall for the public to look at. It's kind of interesting, some of the things that came out in that survey. The only other thing I've got, just a quick report from David Gallman. Leanne called me at noon, and I think he's talked to Zane actually since then. David is much better today, much improved. He's walking, he took a shower by himself this morning, he shaved. He's starting to get some use in his right arm and right hand. It's still weak. He was in the process of being moved to Trust Point this afternoon, which is an inpatient rehab facility. So things are looking much better than they were a couple of days ago. That's all I've got, Mayor.
Thank you. We need to keep him in our thoughts and prayers, the whole family. Anybody else have any comments or? I'd like to tell everybody thank you for coming to the National Day of Prayer, and I'd like to thank the Youth Advisory Council for being there and helping out, and I'd really like to thank the staff for their assistance in preparing for that luncheon and all the work that you did. And also want to thank the election judges and their helpers and the staff for carrying on the lengthy early voting and the voting on May the 9th. We appreciate all your help and all the time that you spent here. I'll say thank you. Thanks for everybody being here. Mr. Phelps, glad you were here. And Mrs. Davis, it was nice to have you. All right. Anybody else? If not, then we are adjourned.